At Reasons to Believe, that's what we do. We try to give people reasons to believe the Christian faith. We end up answering a lot of people's questions that they have about the Christian faith, and this is sometimes called apologetics, to make a defense for the Christian faith. But I'm interested in what one of my colleagues, physician and Christian Eddy del Rio, has to say on this topic. So Eddy, how would you describe Christian apologetics to someone?
I would say Christian apologetics is a type of pre-evangelism. It's everything that we do to basically till the ground in order to make it receptive for the seed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. People have different problems and there are different methods to approach their problems. But in large measure, that's what we're talking about.
And so how would you actually approach doing apologetics with someone?
Well, you have to kind of have your sensors up to see if you can determine what is their objection, if they have one. Is it an intellectual objection? Sometimes it might be an emotional objection. And finally, people can have just a will that's opposed to the concept of God, and that, of course, is a place where the Holy Spirit has to do work. There's not much we can add there.
That's right. And so for a young Christian, maybe who's not heard the word apologetics, or they're trying to think about how to do Christian apologetics, what would you suggest to them as far as how they interact with other people? What would be a good way for them to start to collect the information that they need with their radar up?
Well, let's begin historically. Where does this word apologetics comes from? It's from a Greek word, apologia. And this is used in classical literature in both Plato and Xenophon of Athens, where they describe a defense that was being carried on by Socrates after he was accused of certain crimes. And essentially, the best way to think of it today would be that moment in a trial where the prosecution rests and then the judge says, the defense may begin their case. All of that is basically an apologia. Then if we move into the New Testament, we find that one of the writers of the letters, Peter, in his first epistle, he actually uses the very same word. And he says basically that Christians need to be ready to give an apologia. Now that may be translated different ways in different translations, to defend the faith whenever we're asked, to give a reason of the hope that we have within us. And then he adds very importantly to do so with respect and grace.
Yeah, that's really important, I think, the respect and grace, right? The way we approach somebody. But again, it's there in the Peter passage that you just quoted, it's giving an answer to someone who's asked you a question, right? And so maybe we have to sit around and wait for people to ask us questions before we can do apologetics?
Not necessarily. We can use bait by just describing some engaging, having conversations about things, bringing up things from society. For instance, we're sadly living in a time that a massacre has just recently occurred in a school with a shooting. This naturally brings up a lot of questions about whether there's a God, whether he's all powerful, all knowing, all good, commonly known as the problem of evil. And Christians need to have answers, not just for others, but also for themselves. And apologetics can be very strengthening to individual Christians to help them through times of difficulty.
So do you have any other thoughts on what might be helpful for someone trying to do apologetics with someone else?
You know, it's really important that one prepares. There are great tools out today that help us. Apologetics has been a historical activity through all Christian ages. The great Christian thinkers have dealt with attacks against Christianity from an intellectual basis. And we can learn a lot by the great apologists in history. And we have great apologists living today too. Wonderful materials where we can begin to learn arguments for the existence of God and how to explain the problem of evil and whatnot. The most important thing in sharing faith, of course, is having relationships. We need to have relationships with people so that they can trust us and feel like they can even bring their questions to us. Sometimes we can prompt discussion by asking pointed questions. What do you think about such and such?
Yeah.
And those are means by which we can crack the door open and begin to engage folks in apologetics.